Emilio, the Honey Badger Urrutia.
I'm JP Mistanza. Now here's the news you need to know.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Honey Badger Hour. All right, and we'll go like this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Honey Badger Hour, episode 49, with your boy the Badger. And today, we are joined with a very special guest, all the way from Singapore, one half of the One Championship speaking team voice, color commentators, my man, Mitch the Dragon Chilson. What's happening?
What's up, bro? What's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming on the Honey Badger Hour podcast, man. We appreciate that.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I'm excited to be here. It's about time you invited me on this thing, man. I've been waiting for my invite.
Oh, I love that. I'm a little bit shy, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little bit shy to ask people sometimes, so I got to get over that. You feel me?
I don't believe you.
For real,
you
man.
are nowhere near shy, man.
I know, that's true, right? It doesn't make sense when I talk about like my personality-wise, right? When people see me. Oh, man. So we're here with Mitch Chilson, color commentator from one of the biggest global organizations in the world, One Championship. I really appreciate the time. So where are you living right now, my brother? How's it going?
Bro, I'm back out here in Singapore, man. You know, after the world fell apart, One needed me back over here. So I had to sell my gym, sell my coffee shop. My fiance had to pack everything up, ship my cat over to Singapore. It's been a wild journey. But I'm blessed, man. I'm happy to be out here and working with One. We're doing big things. We got this Prime Video thing going on, which is just massive right now. So I couldn't be in a better spot. I'm extremely grateful and lucky for what I got going on right now.
Wow. So you've been in Singapore for 2 years now since the pandemic?
Yeah,
wow.
Man, 2 years, like literally 6 weeks. They called me. They were like, dude, you got to bounce. And I was like, because if I left the Philippines, I couldn't get back, right? So I was like, oh no, my gym, my dream, my coffee shop. So I left everything in my fiance's hands and she took care of it. I came here, sent the cat over here. And now it's just been, full steam ahead out here in Singapore, man. You know the deal. You lived here for a while.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you ever lived in Singapore before? You lived in Singapore before?
Bro, I was here in 2005 to 2014.
Wow. So you just recently went to so since I've known you, you moved to Philippines that's when you opened up your gym, like in those last 10-year stretch there.
Yeah, I did 2 years in KL, Malaysia, and then I did like 4 years in the Philippines, falling in love and getting the gym and a coffee shop and, selling coffee on the street. It was wild, dude. People would walk by and be like, dude, that's Mitch Chilson selling coffee in the fair.
No way,
What's
man.
going on?
How cool. How long did you have a little coffee shop for? For about...
Dude, we had a spot. We opened up in Greenbelt in the Philippines. And on the day that we opened our gym and our coffee shop, we got closed down. And so we had to pack everything up, get out of Greenbelt, which is a giant mall in Makati, Philippines. And we had to put everything in storage. And then my now wife found another spot and we put it up there. And we had 2 spots. We did an investor. We did like a Philippines version of the Shark Tank. It was a wild time out here. Every year in here in Asia gets a little bit better. So, I'm grateful and lucky to be in the position I am. So it's been a wild ride, bro.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so let's rewind a little bit. Chicka, rewind. So you're from America, right? You're American-based. What state are you from?
Baby.
West Coast,
Seattle.
from the West Coast, from Seattle. And what brought you over to Asia?
I was managing health clubs out in San Francisco, and I met some of the vice presidents and president of California Fitness. You remember California Fitness?
I believe so. It's like a big name, right?
Yeah. And 24-Hour Fitness in the States, they were like, dude, you need to come to Singapore. It's the Hawaii of the East. They're going to love you out there. And I was like, dude, Hawaii? I love Hawaii. Let's go. I came out here in 2005. Dude, it was not Hawaii, man. It was nothing like Hawaii.
Wow, 2005. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, bro. Like, and the first time I got out here, I originally came out here because I assumed that, you know, like the martial arts scene here in Asia would be massive. I thought I would be like training with underground masters. I looked at the map and I saw that Thailand was just a few clicks away. So I was
Yeah.
like, dude, they've got to have a huge scene out here of martial arts. I can really get involved in it. And dude, in 2005, it was nothing like it is now. Now you can't throw a baseball and not hit a gym.
It's
In
crazy.
2005, I had to travel 90 minutes to the other side of the island to get to a gym. And, that's how kind of I started with, Muay Thai and competing out here. But it's a completely different place now.
Wow. And did you know they spoke English when you first moved to Singapore? Like
Not really.
me neither. I didn't
Like,
know.
I thought I would have to learn. I thought I would get to learn another language, right? Like I
Yeah.
thought I would learn Chinese. I thought I would learn Malay. I thought I would learn something, right? But Bahasa, something. I thought I would be immersed in an Asian culture. And man, my English just got worse here, bro.
Yeah, you're living in Asia for a while. You don't learn any Asian languages, and your English gets worse. You come back speaking Singlish. You're like, what is wrong with this guy?
Man, dude, I speak a little Japanese, and now I speak, a little bit of broken languages all over the place. But
You got some Tagalog in
it's
you? You speak any
a little
Tagalog?
bit,
Yeah.
a little bit. My wife, she's Filipino, and I lived there for 4 years, so I can communicate really well in a taxi. Like I can get in a grab and go anywhere really easily. But other than that, not so good.
Yeah, that's right. Like you have all this experience traveling, living in Asia. You're like, yo, you can speak all these languages. Well, I can travel anywhere, there's 3 countries I can get in a taxi and I can impress you. I can order some dessert for
Exactly.
you. That's awesome.
100.
Yeah, man. So then you were living in Singapore, and then that's how you. And then how'd you end up finding you started your martial arts journey in Singapore?
Yeah, man. Like,
Wow.
it wasn't a lot, but I did a couple of amateur shows. I had a couple pro fights. Just got racked up some experience. But then Evolve Mixed Martial Arts came to Singapore, and the whole landscape changed, and it was almost immediate. I was like one of the first Evolve instructors,
Wow.
and I got surrounded by world champions. I was surrounded by BJJ world champions and Muay Thai, legends in the game. And they were my daily training partners, like every day I would build a gym, teach classes, and then go to dinner with these guys. And so I was just surrounded by the very best. And I just had one opportunity after another, and the next thing I knew, I was flying to Thailand and fighting in Muay Thai and, trying to get experience out there. And it snowballed from one thing to the other. And then ESPN came with Martial Combat. I'm sure you remember that.
That's right. Yes.
That was a hoot. Like that was just a wild experience to be on posters all over the city all of a sudden, because it was like a bomb went off, and then mixed martial arts was everywhere. And so it was just a really like right place, right time kind of moment in martial arts. And after I fought for a while, I did some MMA, I did some Muay Thai, I did some BJJ, and it was just a snowball effect. And then it became mixed martial arts, and then one championship came, and then man, the rest is history, bro.
Wow. And what people don't know is martial combat is like kind of the birthplace of one championship started kind of like as martial combat. It was kind of very similar organization,
Yeah,
like
Victor
same,
Cui.
the same people. Was it the same? Victor Cui, everybody, Chachi, the big dog Chachi
Not
was in there.
everybody. Not everybody. It was a
Okay.
little different as far as like, but it was mostly Victor, right? He was working with ESPN, and
He got the ESPN deal like connected, huh?
exactly,
Wow.
exactly. Chachi was my coach at one point, basically at one point. Like, he was walking me to the.
That's
the ring.
crazy. Chachi's putting doing the Y crew for you, like. That's amazing, bro. So like it's amazing how it all like falls one into the other, and then martial combat turns into one. Then they end up changing the name, changing like the brand or whatnot.
Pretty much martial combat just stopped after a couple of seasons. They just like fell off, and then one championship was born out of that.
Yeah.
And it just became this huge thing, this explosion. And it was a really like interesting time, man, like to see the launch of a sport in a country that was kind of hungry for it, out here in Singapore, like because it's a hub, because so many different people come here. It was just the perfect synergy of, mainstream sports with a really hungry environment that was ready to launch something. And that's how I got started commentating. I did my first commentary gig out with Martial Combat just because I got hurt. And then they threw me into the commentary booth, and it was terrible. Terrible. It was bad. Like, dude. But I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Because it was weird, right? Because I felt like it was my responsibility to let the fighters shine. And I knew what I wanted a commentator to say about me, and like my relationship I wanted to have with a commentator. I wanted to be their friend. I wanted to be, to have them know what I was doing. And that was the opportunity that I got, and then, I mean, I wasn't very good as a fighter, but man, as a commentator, bro,
man.
it's my jam,
I love it. That's what that was gonna be. As I'm glad you got into it for me. That was gonna be my next question. Like getting into commentating. I'm sure there was a lot. Like you had to start over. You were a white belt for a long time. How long you been commentating now for? About, you reckon?
My first commentary gig was at Martial Combat, and that was probably like 2010.
Wow.
It was in between fights, right? So, but I didn't do it, right? Like I did it once, and
Okay.
I was so bad that they didn't ask me back, man. And then one championship came out, right? And I had a few fights there, right? I was a fighter first. And then after the fighting thing stopped, there was a hole. And like, I was the director of a big fitness organization out here. Like I managed 6 countries, and I was doing this whole fitness thing. And like in between, like I had a day off, and they were like, dude, you want to come over here and commentate? Because we had one of our commentators fall off. Would you like to try again? And I had a lot of TV experience. So from that time that I was so terrible to this time, I got a lot better. But I was so nervous, and I was so like, I had so much anxiety. I remember the weigh-in in KL was my first event, and it was terrible, bro. Like awful. Like I was so bad. And then I did another season of this TV show, and I got better at coming up with my own lines, off the cuff, reacting to situations. And I was like, okay, this is fun. I got more comfortable with being on camera. And what happened is I went home, and I was like, I want to do that commentary gig thing again. I liked it. It was fun. Even though I was bad at it, I just enjoyed it. It's like a new sport, right? Or the first time you put on boxing gloves, you're terrible, but you enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
And so I started watching fights with the sound off. And this is a tip for a lot of people that want to start commentating. I would watch fights with the sound off, and I would record myself, right? And I would watch the fight with no sound, and then I would commentate the fight, and then I would watch it back on my phone, and I would make corrections in it. One asked me to come back, and I got so much better between the second time and the third time that they were like, dude, you're in. Wow. And dude, I took that ball and I ran with it, man. Like I knew this was my opportunity to do something that most people don't get the chance to do. And I ran with it.
You made the best out of the situation, man. That's what I love it. I love to hear that story, man. That's so good. And, you get to put on the dope suit. How exciting is it? But now you used to be nervous, but you be looking fly on camera. You're ready to go. You're with Big Rich. You know what I'm saying? You got Chevello now. It's to see the progress and change. I think my first one championship fight is when they brought on Chevello too. So yeah, man, that's amazing, bro. And the more shows went on, the more comfortable you got with it. I reckon.
Yeah, but honestly, bro, real talk, I still get nervous, man. Like any press conference I have, anytime I have to interview somebody, because even commentary is weird. Like the press conferences and the weigh-ins and all that stuff and host interviewing stuff, that's kind of when I get nervous. Like I get because I don't want to mess up your moment, right? I don't like when I'm in the ring with post-fight interviews, I'm nervous because I don't want to mess up that person's moment. I don't want to mess up their name. I don't want to, because for some people, they train their like for 10 years to get to that pinnacle, right? To that shot. And the last thing I want to do is say something that's incorrect or what. It's like a weird sort of psychological thing that I got. But in the commentary, it's a similar thing to making that walk to a fight, right? Once we're about to go live and once that music starts in the arena and, my producer's like, all right, 30 minutes till live, I get about 5 to 10% of the same adrenaline that I would get when I would walk, when I made the walk in Araneta Stadium, the Thrill in Manila, that stadium, 17,000 people. It's not the same, but there is that little hit of adrenaline that goes, whew, and you feel it, right? And I love it. It's addicting. And I especially now that we have crowds back, that's huge for me to feed off that crowd energy that's a good time.
And when the lights, camera, action, the lights go rolling, and it's like it's on, and there's no stopping, right? It's not like you can be like, oh, pause, I messed that up, right? That's what I've read. I bet you that one's hard too. When you're commentating, I've done like stupid commentating for like the barbecue beatdown show, and then sometimes I'm like, oh, and then but you got to keep going. You just got to roll with it, right? I bet, man.
That's rough. That's hard. Like live TV, live sports commentary, especially when you get really excited, or it's one of your buddies that's fighting. That's the worst, man. And like you get caught up in the moment, but now I'm at a point where I'm starting to get a little bit more polished. And so I'm actually in the middle of my commentator camp is what I call it now. It's a process that I've kind of designed to get ready for these shows so that when these things happen, I'm able to switch it on, just like a fighter kind of gets ready. They visually rehearse. They go through their boxing combinations. They go through their takedowns, their grappling, their nutrition's dialed in. I've done the same thing as a commentator because these Amazon shows are wild, dude. We did 2 press conferences, 2 weigh-ins, and 2 shows in the span of like 60 hours. I slept 3 days. In 3 days, I slept 10 hours. It was one of the hardest things I've had to do. We used to do like 4 shows in one day, but it was the process of doing a show at night, going to bed at like 3 o'clock, waking up at 5 a.m., and then doing another show, right? So I wasn't used to that. So I've designed this commentator camp to get me ready to do these types of shows. So it's just like a fighter goes through their camp. I'm going through a commentator camp.
Wow, man. For the Amazon Prime, you know what's crazy? I didn't realize it for the last card with the Christian Lee versus when the Christian Lee title fight, and then who else fought that one? And I forgot. The 2 fights. Don Lee can't. All right, I thought that was the main event, and then like 12 hours later, somebody's like, Demetrius Johnson's fighting. I'm like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? Because I'm home, and I'm in Miami. So now that you guys are, I'm like, wait, because I'm in Miami. I wake up early. I watch you guys on Friday morning. Like it's Friday morning fights for me. But then they had the double whammy, so you had like a little break. I'm so confused, right? So what you had to do? Oh, you had to do till 3 a.m. this Christian Lee fight, main event, and that fight went long. The Christian Lee fight went late, right? Like Christian Lee had 2 main events almost in the main card.
Yeah. Well, because we wrapped around midnight, right? But because of the adrenaline and stuff,
forget about it.
I can't sleep. I can't calm down, right? So I'm still jacked up. Right. So I went to bed around 2:30. I had to wake up at 5
for the early card
and get back to the stadium. So it's, now it's a whole, now I know what it's going to be like. So now I kind of have to prep for it. So now I'm doing vocal exercises and breathing and meditation and waking up early and watching my diet so I look good on TV. Right? It's rough, bro. Like, I'll tell you what, it's rough. But the thing is that it's, like, I feel like when I heard this interview with Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, and Michael Jordan was the one that says, when the game is on the line, I want the ball. I want the ball in my hands to take that last minute shot. And that's exactly the way that I feel. Pressure is a privilege. And for the fact that these producers and all this senior team give me this responsibility means a lot to me. So I'm going to take that ball with both hands and I'm going to just do the best that I can, but I'll tell you what though, bro, it was rough, man. it was rough.
I'll tell you what, out of all the commentators in the world right now, for sure, you got one of the hardest jobs because you got all the names of all the countries. You know what I'm saying? Like America now, they got a couple Russians here and there, but you guys, you got the names. You got to practice. How often do you ever look at the card and just be like, all right, here we go. You got to practice all these names before you go through them, huh? Like make sure you pronunciate. The Thai ones are the ones where the pronunciations get a little bit tough,
Before, because I start weeks before a fight, right? So when I first hear them, when I first see the fight card, that's when I start going through it, right? I don't, I'm doing notes, weeks ahead of a fight, so I really try. I don't want to mess up their name.
That's a huge one, right?
Yeah, bro. That's the most important word in their language is their name,
Wow.
So I want to make sure that I get that. And if nothing else, I can mess up, if I mix up Kimura Americano or I mix up, if I call something wrong, that's okay. But don't mess up that dude's name, So I don't care how bad it is. There's Demerong Soyamnoy Siricho.
That's you nailed the Thai names, bro. That's my dog. Yes, bro. I love it,
so
man.
Whatever their name is,
I'm always impressed,
I
bro.
Make sure I get it.
Oh,
Make sure I get the name.
Yeah, for sure, man. How fun, bro. Yeah, so you got these crazy names. The last, anything you're looking forward to now? What's the next card coming up? We have 161, Pech Morakat versus PK Sanchai, right? Oh,
Taiwan
my
Chai,
God.
Pet Morakat against Taiwan Chai. That's going to be a firefight. And then we've got this heavyweight kickboxing tournament, right? Where the big boys are coming to play. Roman Kriklia is moving up to heavyweight to compete in this Grand Prix. That's going to be wild. But then, because this one's going to be a little different. This one's going to be 4 days instead of 3 days because F1's here.
Oh, wow.
So the 161 is going to be on Thursday night here in Asia. And then there's going to be like weigh-ins, press conferences on Friday. And then on Saturday morning is going to be one on Prime Video 2, which is Angela Lee versus Zhang Nan for the strawweight belt. So that's going to be a fun one. So
the trilogy. But
rubber match, and they've each fought each other in their own weight class, right? So Angela lost to Panda in Panda's weight class, right? And then she went down. Yep.
Wow, that's gonna be a huge one. You know which one I'm looking forward to is a classic Singapore on Singapore fight. My girl Tiffany Tell versus Rita. That's gonna be a fight. Oh, that's your Evolve. This is your girl from Evolve, right? That's gonna be a great fight, bro. That's an underrated fight, man. Singapore versus India, but two high-level fighters right there. I'm excited.
Dude, Tiffany is just really good at making people look bad. She shuts them down.
Bro, Tiffany's a sleeper.
If Ritu can't get her down, it could be a long night. We could see a Michelle Nicolini thing all over again for TO. So I'm really intrigued with that fight. But dude, the whole prime card, we got Mikey Musumeci against Souza for that grappling belt, right? And then you've got Super Bon against Chingiz Alizov, right? And then you got the women headline in the show. So I don't know, man. I think I'm really looking forward to this card. I'm really looking forward to the F1 weekend, so I got to deal with all this stuff. And then I got to go to the race on Sunday.
Yo, F1's popping, man. That's what people don't. Yeah, Singapore's got a lot of going on, man. It's become kind of like the central fight hub. It's kind of cool how you ended up moving to the fight hub. It feels like the Las Vegas of Asia when you talk about Singapore being Friday night when one championship is in town. There's a vibe in the one championship week in Singapore. There's a vibe in the town. It's a great vibe in the city. And you said and they got the crowd back. When you were commentating with no crowd, were you going were you setting up, were you going to Singapore and quarantining and commentating live, or were you from home, recording and commentating?
We had a couple of different scenarios. The first thing we did was we did remote. So nobody could come into Singapore. So I was in Manila. Chevello was in Melbourne. the studio was here in Singapore. So me and Chevello had to beam in basically, and then try to, do that. And that was a couple of shows. And that was probably like, a few months of that. But then they were like, yeah, we don't want that anymore. So we want you to come to Singapore. And that's when I had to close my gym, close the coffee shop, come to Singapore, quarantine. And then I basically just moved here. Right. And then I was just here the entire time. So like Dom Lau, our announcer, and Michael Chevello, dude, they spent like 25% of the year each year, 2020, 2021 in quarantine.
In both countries, right? Like I think Chevello, to go back to Australia, had to do 12 there and 12 in Singapore.
Yeah. Bro, like I can't imagine the mental toll that these guys had to go through to pull this stuff off, man, because like even Dom is still going back to Hong Kong and he still has to hit up a quarantine, So it was wild times, but because of it, we grew as a team, like we all became closer and we overcame certain things, and it was rough, man, but the show must go on and we found a way to do it. So even in the midst of a worldwide pandemic and shutdown, we were still pulling off these shows, and it was an impressive feat, man.
It was super impressive. The whole world shut down, and it's crazy that like the fighters kept going, man. One championship kept pushing through. We had some rocky times, but they made it through. The fighters were getting paid. You know what I'm saying? People kept their living going. It was great, and it was entertaining as heck during the Coronas to have fights on Friday, and then they had And we had like cards lined up. They had the tournaments too, so it all worked out well, man. It was great. When you started out with martial combat, you started out with and one championship commentating. It was just MMA. And then they got into the Super Series. So now you have experience. So now you went from just commentating MMA, which is kind of like your field, right? And now you go to commentating some of the best kickboxers and Muay Thai fighters in the world. What a pleasure / challenge, for you maybe commentating, huh?
Like I started with Muay Thai and kickboxing. That was my first, like I competed in Strikeforce
True.
in kickboxing back in, San Jose, So like I started as a striker, and then I became a mixed martial artist, and then I did BJJ. But bruh, straight up, man, commentating 4 sports, and we've also done boxing. It's an incredibly challenging thing because MMA is my jam. I watch that all day on a Sunday, right? Like that's my thing, right? Like I love MMA, but then to commentate kickboxing, which is a game of inches. Like the things that these guys are doing and the level of the kickboxers that we have is just insane. Like we've got like some of the highest world-class level strikers in our Super Series. And it really tests you as a commentator. MMA, that I'm a fan. I was a fan of that first. And so I was a student, I was an athlete, I was a fighter of MMA. But with Muay Thai and kickboxing, I was just like a student of it, right? So it's incredibly challenging, and I feel like I need to do it justice. So I've started to go back to it. I've started to dig deep into it, Muay Thai, and understanding the intricacies of these martial arts. And man, then they go and throw in grappling too. So now I got to learn. And the grappling game, dude, as you know, changes every single day. They're always making it more, and like now they attack the legs, right? So when the hell they start attacking the legs?
It's a whole new game. It's a whole game, and you guys are leading the way. You guys got some of the best guys. You got the Mushemi brothers, Rutello brothers. You guys got some of the leading guys in the way. So now you're gonna have, they're not having like old school jiu-jitsu matches. You're gonna have like the best leg lockers in the world. These young 18-year-olds going after each other. Now you're gonna be like, oh my god, this guy's doing spider guard into omoplata into go-go into,
Dude,
so.
Cade Rutello jumped off the cage, man, against Shinya Aoki, right? Like the way that Mikey Musumeci is attacking these things. There's like a whole new level of commentating. But dude, I am up for the challenge because it forces me to not only study these arts, but also go out there and practice them. Because if I get to roll with, the Rutollos or Bruchecha, or Musumeci, and I get to understand them, not only do I become a better martial artist, but I can explain it to the viewers better. And then if I get to work out with Nong-O, Panpayak, these Super Lek, Rod Tang, these incredibly high level Muay Thai guys, that's only going to elevate my game. But then it gives me an interesting insight into commentary because I've felt them. Like for you, right? When you fought Bruno Pucci, right? Before that, I trained with you at Tiger Muay Thai. So I felt the honey badger folding me in half and smashing on me, passing my guard and choking me out. So it gives me that understanding of that athlete, much better than any other commentator out there. So granted, there are other commentators that do martial arts, but I really try to get to know my guys so that it elevates my game. And I'm waiting to see what we add next, as far as sports are concerned.
No, it's great. And like, I tell you what, man, like you training and being able to train with the athletes goes such a long way, man. It really does. Like, and then knowing, because you know what these guys are going to, and you training at Evolve, you get to, what's the next thing I was going to ask you about? One of the things that I love that you've been doing that's helped me out a bunch, and you've been doing this for a while too. I remember when you had your own gym, you had some flexibility things. I used to do those, you had like this one little drill there to touch your toes. Like, yo, this thing really works, because I'm super tight. It's like, yo, my dog Mitch. But the one you have now that I love is the technique videos that you demonstrate with the best in the world, and you have everybody showing their best moves, which is super helpful, man. I've been loving the technique videos you've been releasing on your socials. So if anybody hasn't, those are the fun ones that I really like low kick, like Nong O showing the kicks, and you're getting everybody show their specialty. That's been a great one. I love that.
That's fun. That really is. And I've been trying, to reach more people with social media. And that's been something that's really resonated with a lot of people, like being able to, because I'm in a unique position, right? Like not everybody gets to hang out with world champions every day.
Bro. It's crazy.
And the fact that I get to get taught, right? And then in turn, I get to teach people, these little details and these little things that a lot of people don't have access to. So it's been a lot of fun. And it also watching these videos over and over again and then trying to break down them to make them fun and creative and to make them interesting for the viewer. I learn a lot. I really get to understand that athlete a little bit better. And then having them teach, and sometimes you get to see their personality too. So that's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy those two.
Yeah, man, you get after it, bro. You don't play around, man. Oh, I love it. Anyways, I don't want to take too much more of your time, bro. We're running up soon. We only got a few more minutes left, so I was wanting to finish up with a few more things. Hey, how crazy is it? Like, I know when I'm watching when you're watching, I can only imagine when you're front row and the good seat too. The level of martial arts changes from like the martial arts. You're watching the MMA fight, and then the Muay Thai fight comes, and you're like, oh wow. You start to notice the difference right away, like in the kicks and the punches and everything. You're like, oh wow. There's levels to this game, and when they switch the games, like from the Muay Thai to the kickboxing to the MMA, I'm like, hey bro, these Muay Thai guys are making us look bad, bro. You got to give us a little separation of fights in between. You got us MMA guys throwing and slugging, then you got some of these best Muay Thai fighters in the world making us look bad, bro.
There's small gloves, man. That Muay Thai with small gloves, when you hear like Nong O crack somebody in the body, like my soul leaves my body when he hits people. Like he cracked, like some of these guys, like Rod Tang's leg kicks or body shots, especially when they're like right there, like right in front. You've just feel the precision combined with just this electrifying power. And then you take out the fans, right? And for a long time, we just had an empty stadium, dude. So you really hear it, so man, it's cool, bro. I got to tell you that it's definitely a one-of-a-kind job, and I'm lucky to do what I do.
That's great, man. All right, we're going to finish off with this, brother. I really appreciate the time. As a color commentator, man, what advice? Because you got a lot of different fields that you can give some advice on. So I'm going to give the ball's in your court on what to choose. But from transitioning from MMA to going into color commentating to now you got your social medias, you got your Instagram going, the technique videos. What advice would you give for, a different one. What advice would you give for a fighter that's on the end of their career transitioning out on what to look for and what to do next? After fighting, after getting the thrills and victories of defeats, what advice would you give for a fighter that maybe was like on the way out, like on how to get it through that, on what to transition to?
It depends on the fighter, right? Like, I mean, you found your niche, right? Like you like the podcast and the stand-up comedy, and you might like to jump into commentary. Maybe somebody wants to open a gym and teach. or they might want to go the opposite and create like a restaurant and get into the business side of things. So it really comes down to what that athlete wants to do with the rest of their lives and the impact that they want to make, because every athlete, everybody that's made that walk to a competitive arena, whether it's just a mat or if it's a ring or a cage or a circle, they're in a unique position to be able to inspire the world to do what they want to do. And I keep saying this, it's kind of a cliche, like following your dreams, but you got to figure out what it is that you want to do as a person, as a former athlete, as a role model, if you want to be a role model, or if you want to just be a business person. But if, like, let's say it's commentary, right? Like, let's say an athlete wants to get into commentary. I've asked a lot of commentators this question. I was like, what do you do to prepare yourself to become a commentator? And a lot of them just say, I just go out there and talk, right? Like, they don't have any preparation that they did. They didn't study it. They didn't go to broadcasting school. It was like a God-given talent where they could just speak with their diaphragm and not have to worry about anything. But with me, I wasn't a very good speaker. I had to learn how to speak, how to enunciate correctly, how to breathe, how to speak with my diaphragm, how to come off polished, or at least try to come off polished, and doing the work necessary to get there. So if you want to go into business, study business, really get a good, strong foundation before jumping into somebody's plan just because they say you can make money. If you want to get into, commentary, really refine that art, get good at speaking in front of people, practice like I did on the TV, and get really good at it. But whatever it is that you want to do your best to get prepared for it, just like you're getting ready for a fight. Whether, you take 8 weeks to get ready for that contest, you take, 12 months to prepare yourself to, make your pro debut. Do the same thing with whatever path you just choose to decide to get involved with, and chase it with every ounce of your being, man. Don't let nobody tell you can't do it, and really try to push for greatness, because there's something great in all of us. And once you leave fighting, I'll tell you this, I know it's hard. You've had that rush. You've had that thrill of a knockout, that submission victory, your hand raised in front of 1,000 people. There is nothing like that rush in the world. So you have to find something else that helps you, give back and accomplish whatever's the next stage of your life.
I couldn't end it in any better way. Ladies and gentlemen, Honey Badger Hour, episode 49, with the man, Mitch Chilson, one championship commentator extraordinaire. Where can the people find you, my brother?
Dude, I'm all over the place. But the best place, like you said, is IG, man. Come at me, Mitch Chilson, and, we'll maybe become friends, bro.
Mitch, I really appreciate the time, man. We're almost out of time. It's Saturday night.
You're a man, bro.
I'm going to let you do your thing, bro. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, man. That was a great little chat, bro. We're about to finish, and I want to keep on going now, even more, but I can be here all day with you, bro.